The wind died first, then the birds, then everything else. That's when I knew something was watching me from between those ancient trees. Something that had been waiting in those mountains long before any of us arrived. The Appalachian Mountains stretch like a sleeping giant across the eastern United States. Endless ridges, forgotten hollows, places where the fog never quite lifts, and the old families still speak in whispers about things that walk the woods at night. These aren't just stories passed down through generations. These are real encounters, documented, witnessed, feared. This is what really happened in the shadows of the Appalachians. A hiker named Marcus told me his story 3 years after it happened. He still wouldn't go back, not even in daylight. He was camping alone near the Blue Ridge Parkway, miles from the nearest road. The kind of solitude people pay for, the kind that makes you feel alive, until it doesn't. He'd set up camp just before sunset, ate a cold meal and settled into his sleeping bag as darkness swallowed the forest whole. Around midnight, he woke to the sound of footsteps. Not animal footsteps, human footsteps. Slow, deliberate, circling his tent. He lay frozen, listening. The footsteps stopped directly outside his tent flap. He could hear breathing, heavy, wet, like someone had been running. But no one spoke. No one moved. Just breathing. For 20 minutes. Marcus tried to rationalize it. Maybe a lost hiker. Maybe someone disoriented in the dark. But something deep in his gut told him not to open that tent. Not to call out. Not to acknowledge whatever was standing there. The breathing continued. Sometimes close. Sometimes it seemed to move around the tent again, always returning to that same spot by the entrance. When the sun finally rose, Marcus packed his gear with shaking hands and left. He found no footprints around his tent. None at all. Just crushed leaves in a perfect circle where something had walked. Round and round. All night long. The disturbing part came later. When he got home and checked the photos on his camera, he'd set it to take time-lapse shots through the night. A personal project to capture the stars. In 3 of the images taken between midnight and 1 a.m., there was a dark shape standing beside his tent. Tall, impossibly thin, no features visible, just a silhouette that shouldn't exist. In the last photo where it appeared, it was bent over, like it was listening to him breathe. Before we go deeper into these mountains, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. Here at Chills from Reality, every story leaves a mark, one you might not forget. Because what you're about to hear isn't folklore. It's testimony, and the mountains are still listening. Sarah lived in a small cabin near Cades Cove, Tennessee. She'd grown up in these mountains, knew every trail, every creek, every family for miles. She wasn't the type to scare easily. But in October of 2019, something changed. She started hearing knocking at her door. 3 knocks. Always 3. Always at 2:47 a.m. The first time, she thought it was a neighbor, maybe someone in trouble. She grabbed her flashlight and opened the door. Nothing. Just the porch. Just the trees swaying in the breeze. The next night, same thing. 3 knocks. She checked her security camera the following morning. The footage showed her porch clearly. At 2:47 a.m., her door shook from the knocking. But no one was there. Just empty space where a person should have been. The knocking continued for 2 weeks. Every night. Same time. She stopped answering. Stopped checking. She tried to ignore it. Tried to convince herself it was the house settling. The wood expanding in the cold. But wood doesn't knock in patterns. Wood doesn't knock exactly 3 times. Then one night she heard something else. After the 3rd knock, a voice. Her mother's voice. Calling her name. Sweet and familiar. The way she used to call Sarah in for dinner when she was a child. That gentle, loving tone. But her mother had died 6 years earlier. Sarah sat up in bed, her skin crawling with ice. The voice came again. Sarah, honey, open the door. I'm so cold out here. It was perfect. Every inflection, every breath. Exactly how her mother spoke. Sarah wanted to open that door more than anything. Wanted to see her mother again. But she knew. Deep down, she knew. Whatever was outside wasn't her mother. Whatever was using her mother's voice was something else. Something that knew which voice would make her open that door. She stayed in bed, tears streaming down her face, as her mother's voice pleaded outside. Begged, eventually changed tone. Became angry. Demanding. Sarah, open this door right now. You open it right now. That wasn't her mother anymore. The voice grew distorted, wrong, like a recording played backwards. Sarah moved out the next day. She never went back, not even for her belongings. She paid someone else to pack up her things. And when they did, they found scratches on the inside of her front door. Deep gouges in the wood, like something had been trying to claw its way in. Deep in the woods near Boone, North Carolina, there's a stretch of trail the locals call the Singing Path. Not because birds sing there. They don't. Nothing sings there. But hikers report hearing voices, singing, old hymns, songs their grandparents knew. A couple named David and Emma were hiking that trail in early spring. The forest was just waking up from winter. Everything smelled of wet earth and new growth. About 3 miles in, they heard it. A woman's voice, singing Amazing Grace somewhere ahead of them. Clear as daylight. Beautiful even. They looked at each other and smiled. Another hiker, they thought. Someone enjoying the morning. But as they walked, the voice never got closer. It stayed the same distance ahead, always just out of sight. They picked up their pace. The singing continued, same volume, same distance. After 20 minutes of this, David called out, "Hello? We're coming up behind you." The singing stopped, instantly, completely. They stood in sudden silence, breathing hard. The forest felt different now, oppressive, watching. Then, from behind them now, the voice started again. The same song, the same woman. But they'd passed no one, seen no one. The trail was empty. Emma grabbed David's arm. Her face had gone pale. "That's not possible," she whispered. The singing grew louder, closer, coming up behind them fast. Too fast. No one could move that quickly through the underbrush. They ran, stumbling over roots and rocks. The singing followed them all the way back to the trailhead, never fading, never stopping. When they reached their car, it finally stopped. They sat in the vehicle, doors locked, breathing hard. Neither spoke for a long time. They never went back to that trail. And when they asked locals about it later, people just nodded. "Yeah," one old man said. "That happens there, has for about 60 years, ever since the church burned down on that ridge." 23 people died in that fire. They were singing hymns when the flames took them. Some say they never stopped singing. Can't stop. Won't stop until someone helps them. But nobody knows how. The old man leaned closer, his eyes dark. And if you stay too long listening, they say the singing gets inside your head. Stays there. People have heard it in their sleep, in their homes. Miles away from those woods. Once it gets in, it don't leave easy. Would you have kept walking? Or would you have turned back the moment you heard that voice? In the Smoky Mountains, there's a phenomenon the rangers don't talk about publicly. But they know. They've seen the reports. Hikers who venture off trail sometimes encounter what they describe as the wrong cabin. It looks abandoned. Weathered wood, sagging roof, the kind of structure that's been forgotten by time. But here's the thing. These cabins aren't on any map. They aren't registered with the Park Service, and when search teams go looking for them later, they can't find them. A solo hiker named Thomas found one of these cabins in 2021. He'd gotten turned around in heavy fog and was looking for shelter. The visibility was maybe 10 feet. Everything beyond that was just white, thick and suffocating. The cabin appeared through the mist like a gift. He approached carefully. The door hung open slightly. Inside, he could see a table, a chair, a lantern still sitting on a shelf. He called out. No answer. He stepped inside. The air was cold, much colder than outside. His breath came out in white clouds. On the table, he noticed something strange. A plate of food, fresh bread, stew still steaming, like someone had just been eating. He backed toward the door. That's when he heard footsteps upstairs, slow, heavy, coming toward the stairs. Thomas didn't wait to see what came down. He ran back into the fog and didn't stop running until he found the main trail 2 hours later. His legs were scratched, his jacket torn, but he was alive. When he reported it to rangers, they asked him to mark it on a map. He did. They searched the area. No cabin, no structure at all, just empty forest, dense and untouched. But Thomas wasn't the only one. Over the years, dozens of hikers have reported similar encounters, always when they're lost, always in heavy fog. The cabin appears, always with signs of recent occupation, and always There are footsteps upstairs. One hiker who stayed longer reported seeing something descend those stairs. He wouldn't describe what it was. He just said it wore the shape of a man, but moved all wrong, like joints bending in directions they shouldn't. He ran too. Everyone runs. But some people don't make it out of the fog. Every year, a handful of hikers vanish in the Smokies. Most are found eventually, lost, dehydrated, but alive. Some are never found at all. And locals wonder, did they find the cabin? Did they stay too long? Did they see what comes down those stairs? The Appalachian Trail runs for over 2,000 miles. Millions of people hike sections of it every year. But there are parts of that trail where hikers report the same strange occurrence. They call it the follower, a presence that walks behind you. You never see it, but you feel it. You hear it, matching your pace, step for step. A woman named Rachel experienced this near the Virginia-Tennessee border. She was hiking alone, enjoying the solitude. Around midday, she started to feel watched. That primitive instinct we all have, the one that kept our ancestors alive. She turned around. Nothing, just the trail behind her, empty and quiet. She kept walking. 5 minutes later, she heard a branch snap. Behind her. She spun around. Nothing again. This continued for an hour. Every time she stopped, the sound stopped. Every time she walked, she heard footsteps matching her rhythm. Finally, she decided to test it. She stopped abruptly. The footsteps continued for 2 more steps. Then silence. Whatever was following her had been walking so close it couldn't stop in time. Rachel grabbed her phone and started recording audio. She walked for 10 more minutes, her heart hammering. When she played it back later, she heard her own footsteps clearly. And beneath them, fainter but unmistakable, a second set of footsteps. Heavier, slower, right behind her. She tried something else. She called out without turning around. "I know you're there. What do you want?" Silence. Just the wind in the trees. Then so quiet she almost missed it. A voice, right behind her, right at her ear. A whisper. Just walking. The voice was wrong. Too deep, too hollow, like it came from somewhere far away even though it was right there. Rachel ran. She didn't stop until she reached a road 3 miles down the trail. A couple in a car picked her up. She was crying, shaking. They drove her to the nearest town. She never hiked alone again. But here's what haunts her most. When she finally looked at her phone later that evening, she found a photo she didn't take. A selfie, taken from her phone. During that hike, the angle was wrong, like someone was holding the phone behind her, looking over her shoulder. In the photo, you can see the back of Rachel's head, and behind her, partially visible at the edge of the frame, something tall, something with pale skin, and eyes that reflected the light like an animal's. Tell me in the comments, have you ever felt followed in the woods? Have you ever heard something that shouldn't be there? In the mountains of West Virginia, there's a stretch of road called Route 60. It winds through dense forest and isolated communities. Locals know to drive it quickly after dark. A truck driver named Paul learned why. He was making a late-night delivery in the autumn of 2020. Around 11 p.m., his headlights caught something standing on the side of the road, a woman wearing a white dress. She was facing the woods, her back to him. He slowed down, thinking maybe she needed help. Car trouble, maybe lost. As he passed her, he glanced in his side mirror. She was gone. Just empty road. He shook it off. Trick of the light, he thought. But 3 miles later, his headlights caught her again. Same woman, same white dress, same position, facing the woods. This time he didn't slow down. He sped up. His eyes went to the mirror. She was gone again. This happened 7 more times over the next 15 miles. Each time she was further down the road, always facing away, always disappearing the moment he passed. On the 8th time, as his headlights illuminated her, she slowly turned her head. Not her body, just her head, all the way around, facing him as he passed. Her face was pale, expressionless, empty. Her eyes were completely black, no whites, no iris, just darkness. Paul didn't stop driving until he reached his destination 40 miles away. He took a different route home. He always takes a different route now. But other truckers report the same woman, always on Route 60, always after dark, always in that white dress. One driver tried to stop, tried to help her. He pulled over and walked back to where she'd been standing. Nothing there. Just road. Just trees. Then he heard something behind him. Breathing. He turned. She was standing right there, 3 feet away. She opened her mouth. Too wide. Wider than any mouth should open. And she screamed. A sound that shattered his truck's windows half a mile away. He ran, got back in his truck and left. Never went back. The woman is still there. Still appearing on that road. Some say she's looking for the man who killed her in 1952. Ran her down on that same stretch and left her to die. She's been waiting, searching every face of every driver, looking for the one who took her life. And when she finds him, people say that scream will be the last thing he ever hears. The abandoned coal towns scattered through Appalachia carry their own darkness. Entire communities left behind when the mines closed. Houses still standing. Churches with broken windows. Schoolhouses where children's desks sit in neat rows, waiting for students who will never return. Urban explorers sometimes venture into these ghost towns. Most leave quickly. Something about the silence. The weight of all those empty buildings. All that forgotten life. A group of college students explored one such town in eastern Kentucky. They brought cameras, flashlights, plans to document the decay. They entered an old community center just before sunset. Inside, everything was covered in dust and debris. But in one room, they found something that stopped them cold. A circle of chairs, arranged perfectly, no dust on them, no cobwebs, like someone had just placed them there. In the center of the circle, a child's doll, sitting upright, staring at them with glass eyes. They took photos and moved to the next room. When they came back 15 minutes later, the doll was gone. The chairs had moved. Now they formed a line, leading to the back door, leading outside. Into the growing darkness, they didn't follow. They left, but when they reviewed their photos later, they noticed something. In the background of one image, in the doorway behind them, a small figure, a child, watching them. The face was blurred, indistinct, but unmistakably there. In another photo, taken just seconds later, the figure was closer. In a third photo, it was right behind one of the students, reaching out. They never went back, and they never figured out what that child wanted. But they learned something interesting when they researched the town. In 1963, a fire swept through the community center during a Christmas celebration. 7 children died, trapped inside when the exits became blocked. The building was rebuilt, but people said it was never the same. Cold spots in certain rooms, toys moving on their own, the sound of children laughing when no one was there. Eventually, people stopped using the building, stopped going inside. The town died slowly after that. People moved away, one by one, until nothing remained but empty buildings and memories, and 7 children who never left. How far would you go into an abandoned town before you turned back? Would you follow those chairs? Near Asheville, North Carolina, there's a hiking trail that ends at an overlook. Beautiful views, popular spot for sunrise watchers, but at night, it's different. A man named Robert used to run that trail in the early mornings before work. Always the same routine. Park at 5 a.m., run the 3 miles up, watch the sunrise, run back down. One morning in late November, he arrived earlier than usual. 4:30 a.m., still pitch dark. He decided to wait. He sat on the overlook bench and checked his phone. That's when he noticed the woman. She was standing at the edge of the overlook, looking out over the valley. He hadn't heard her approach. Hadn't seen a car in the parking lot besides his own. He nodded politely. She didn't respond, didn't move, just stood there. He tried again. Beautiful spot, isn't it? Nothing. Not even a glance. He felt uncomfortable now, something wrong. The way she stood, perfectly still, not even swaying slightly the way people do, like a statue. He stood to leave. As he turned away, she spoke. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. I've been waiting so long. He looked back. She was still facing away. Waiting for what? He asked. For someone to see me. Then she stepped forward. Off the edge. No scream, no sound. Just gone. Robert rushed to the edge, his heart exploding in his chest. The drop was at least 200 feet, but there was nothing. No body. No sound of impact. Nothing. When the sun rose 20 minutes later, he searched the area below with his eyes. Empty. He reported it to park rangers. They found no evidence anyone had been there. No footprints but his own. No reports of missing persons. Nothing. But Robert knows what he saw. He knows what he heard. And he'll never forget the way she stepped off that edge. Like she was stepping into water. Like she'd done it before. He stopped running that trail. But he couldn't stop thinking about her. About what she said. For someone to see me. Like she'd been invisible for so long. Like she needed to be witnessed. 3 months later, Robert was reading local history at the library. He found something. A newspaper article from 1989. A young woman had jumped from that same overlook. Suicide. Her name was Jennifer Cole. She was 23. In the article, there was a photo. Robert's blood went cold. It was her. The woman he'd seen. The same face. The same long dark hair. The same white sweater. She'd been dead for over 30 years, but she was still there, still waiting, still jumping, every morning before sunrise, trapped in that moment, forever falling, forever waiting for someone to see. The last encounter comes from a family who lived in a remote hollow in Virginia. The Hendersons. Father, mother, 2 children. They'd moved there for the quiet, for the peace. For 3 years it was paradise. Then the scratching started. At night. On the walls. On the windows. Like fingernails slowly dragging across wood. It would start around midnight. Continue until dawn. They checked for animals. Squirrels. Raccoons. Nothing. They called pest control. No signs of infestation. The scratching continued. Every night. Growing louder. More insistent. One night their daughter asked a question that made everyone freeze. "Mommy, why is the lady scratching on my window?" She was 5 years old. Her room was on the 2nd floor. There was no porch, no ledge, no way for anyone to reach her window. They moved her to the downstairs guest room that night. The scratching followed. Now on the downstairs window, always wherever she slept. The daughter started talking about the lady more, describing her. Pale skin, long black hair, a dirty white nightgown, always at the window, always scratching, always looking in. The parents couldn't see her, but their daughter could. Every night she'd point at the window and whisper, "There she is again." They finally asked their nearest neighbor, an elderly man who'd lived in those mountains his entire life. He listened to their story and went quiet. Then he spoke. That house used to belong to the Mercer family. Mother went mad one winter, killed her 2 children and herself.
They say she scratches at windows looking for her babies, trying to get them back. She don't mean harm. She's just still looking. The Hendersons moved out the following week, but before they left, their daughter said something that haunts them still. She was looking out her window one last time. The scratching was happening. Her parents couldn't see anything, just darkness.
But their daughter smiled, a sad, small smile, and she waved. "Goodbye, sad lady," she whispered. "I hope you find them." The scratching stopped. For the first time in weeks, silence, complete silence. Then, so faint they almost missed it, a voice, a woman's voice, from outside, from the darkness. "Thank you." The Hendersons finished packing in record time. The house has been empty for 4 years now, but locals say if you drive past it at night, you can still see scratch marks appearing on the windows. Fresh ones, like she's still searching, still hoping, still scratching at the glass, looking for children who will never come home. There's one more story, one that ties all of these together. A park ranger named Tom worked in the Appalachians for 32 years. He's retired now, but he told me something before I started researching these encounters. He said, "The mountains remember. Every person who died here, every tragedy, every loss, the mountains hold on to it, like a scar that never heals. And sometimes, on quiet nights, those scars open up, and what's been buried comes back to the surface." He told me that the Appalachians are some of the oldest mountains on Earth, older than the Rockies, older than the Alps. They've stood here for millions of years, watching, waiting, collecting stories, collecting souls. He said that every ranger who works these mountains long enough sees something, hears something, encounters something that doesn't fit into the normal world. They don't talk about it much, don't want to scare tourists, don't want to sound crazy, but they know. They all know. The mountains are alive, and they're not empty. They've never been empty. Whatever you do, Tom told me, respect the mountains, respect the dark, And if something feels wrong, if your gut tells you to leave, you listen. Because the mountains will take you if you let them. And once they have you, you're theirs forever. The Appalachian Mountains hold secrets in their folds. Ancient secrets. Dark secrets. The kind that don't fade with time. They wait in the fog. They walk the trails at night. They knock on doors and sing old hymns and follow hikers who venture too deep. These aren't legends. These aren't campfire tales told to scare children. These are experiences, documented by people just like you. People who thought they were alone in those mountains. People who learned they never were. The encounters continue. Every year, every season, new stories emerge from those dark hollows and forgotten trails. People seeing things that shouldn't exist. Hearing voices that have no source. Feeling watched by eyes that don't reflect light. The mountains keep their secrets well. But sometimes those secrets slip out, find their way into the world, touch the lives of ordinary people just trying to enjoy nature, just trying to find peace. And they learn what the locals have always known. The Appalachians are beautiful, majestic, ancient, and haunted. If this story made your heart race, hit that like button and subscribe, because here at Chills from Reality, the fear doesn't end when the story does. These mountains are still here, still waiting, still watching, and maybe, just maybe, they're waiting for you. Until next time, stay safe out there. And if you're ever hiking in the Appalachians and you hear footsteps behind you, don't look back. Just keep walking. Whatever you do, don't stop. Because the moment you stop, it gets closer. And you don't want to see what's been following you all along. Trust the silence. Fear the stillness. And remember, you're never truly alone in those mountains. Something is always watching, always listening, always waiting for you.